All right, so as of recently with the introduction of Grand Reef, a lot of you have been reaching out asking me which is the brand new area for not only money, but also for XP. So for that reason, we are making our traditional video here where we go ahead and compare the 3 areas that are the most popular right now, with including the brand new one. Now, this is obviously going to be Depths, Canal, as well as Grand Reef. Now, aside from the fact that we're going to be doing tests in each and every single one of these zones, using our handy dandy hasty heavens rod mixed in with the night shrimp bait, I will also be explaining to you guys why each and every single one of these areas are more than likely good for your specific case. So get comfortable, strap in, because it is going to be a pretty quick ride for you, but quite the bumpy one for me. Now, of course, as we always do here, we're going to start off inside of Depths, which I'm going to be completely honest, I don't exactly need to do this. For the most part, Depths as well as Canal haven't been touched whatsoever. So the results that we're going to get are more than likely going to be the same results that we got the last time that we did this. But just for the sake of including it, I will go ahead and do it. But before that, I'm going to explain to you guys why Depths is good in its own way. Now, obviously, a lot of us know that getting Mythicals to spawn in here is actually pretty simple and fairly close now to what is now known as Grand Reef. While Depths is not really that great for leveling, it is extremely good for making money. But besides all of that, it is the best area in the entire game to farm enchant relics. So if you're in the market for getting some enchant relics, then obviously there is no questions asked that you should definitely make your way over to Depths. Just keep in mind that it is a little bit on the trickier side. You do have to have your Vertigo bestiary completed, as well as getting your hands on a depth key. And of course, before you even do any of that, you have to find yourself a strange whirlpool to get into Vertigo. Now, a quick little trick that I've learned over the last couple of times that we've done this from you guys in the comment section is to go ahead and do these tests during the daytime. So if you are farming here, it is very important that you are in the daytime in order to get the most amount of mythical. With that being said, that's pretty much everything that I want to say about Depths. So let's get into the time lapse. All right, so that's the end of the day cycle. And in total, as far as cash, we earned 107,659. Now, unfortunately, I completely forgot to show you guys how much XP I had at the very start of it, but I did take a screenshot of it. But we basically started with 8,266,250. At the end of it all, we have 8,336 with 55, meaning that for that run, we went ahead and earned a total of 69,805 XP. Either way, we are now moving into the next area, being Canal. Prior to the release of Grand Reef, this was the go-to place for money as well as for XP based off of our last video. But the obvious unfortunate reality of this is that you do need to worry about oxygen. Now, there is a little bit of a trick to this where you can sort of go ahead and stay there for give or take about 2 hours without having to get any oxygen. That is assuming that you do have an advanced oxygen tank with you, which is basically just standing right here because technically it is registering that you are in Overgrowth Caves, being one of the first tier. The higher you progress up the mountain, the more oxygen you lose. Either way, let's go ahead and get started with our time lapse. Just as before, we ended off with 8,336,055. So that is what we will be starting with as far as XP goes over here. Pretty confident this is going to knock off Depths from first place because obviously there's nothing up against it. And I'm also pretty confident this is going to remain the first place for all 3 of them. But enough of that. We'll talk about my opinion at the very end of it all. Let's get started with the time lapse. All right, so that is officially the end of the night cycle for Cryogenic Canal. And unfortunately, I'm sure you guys saw it in the time lapse there, but I did lose a trout. Totally my fault. I kind of dropped my phone while I was watching a video, so I had to kind of look away from the computer for a split second. But either way, we know that Aurora Trout's base value is about 4,500, so I'll go ahead and add that on. So with that being said, if we go ahead and sell our inventory here, total is 122,565. Now, as for the XP, we ended off with 8,430,900 165, meaning that in total we earned 94,910 XP. Pretty big difference compared to depths, not only in money, but also in XP. So again, we already sort of knew this based off of our previous tests. The only unfortunate side here is that you are at the mercy of making sure that your oxygen doesn't run out. But now we have made it to the final location, being the brand new Grand Reef. The beautiful thing about this place is that none of the fish have any time where they specifically prefer, so we can do this day or night cycle. It doesn't really matter. In this case, I will be doing it in a night cycle, and hopefully I don't end up dropping my phone again, so that way I don't have to do the math all over again. Speaking of dropping my phone, I actually forgot to add the XP as well for the trout that we missed over at Canal. So technically speaking, it was 96,910. But anyways, we're going to go ahead, sundial, and get started with our time lapse here in Grand Reef. At the very end of it all, we're going to look over all of our results, and I'm going to give you guys my opinion on every single one of these locations. All right, so there we go. That is the end of the night cycle for Grand Reef, and the total is going to be 111,456. As for the XP, we ended off with 8,524,125, meaning that in total we earned 93,160 from this run, which means that unfortunately, all across the board, the Grand Reef is not better than Canal. As you can see here from the left side of the screen, I'm going to put all of the numbers right here. In last place, we have depths. Second place, we have Grand Reef. And just slightly ahead of it, we have Canal. Now, the reality here is that the difference between Canal and Grand Reef is so minimal that realistically, I would personally choose to come to Grand Reef, because if you start to go ahead and factor in all of the downtime that you're going to have from traveling back and forth to regain some of that lost oxygen, you're probably earning more money here hourly than you would be inside of Canal. Now, if you're a player that's just starting this game, realistically, your best option here is going to be to come to Grand Reef, because it takes absolutely no requirements to come over here. Simply get yourself a robo, make your way over to Forsaken Shores, and right behind it, you will find an area that's going to make you by far the most amount of money in the entire game, regardless of your level. In my case, I will probably be spending most of my time here at Grand Reef. I don't want to deal with having to put on an oxygen tank. I don't want to deal with having to put on a winter cloak. And honestly, it just isn't worth the hassle to go to Canal every single time. Either way, I'm curious to read the comment section on this. For those of you that maybe are watching this video more interested in the XP side, realistically, I would make your way over here to Grand Reef and focus over here. This honestly provides some really good XP. I don't know if it's exactly better than Forsaken if you have Aurora active, but the good thing about here compared to Forsaken is the fact that here you'll be earning a lot of XP while also making a pretty decent amount of money. At the Captain Goldfishes, you'll be making a good amount of XP, a really good amount of XP, but absolutely no money whatsoever. At the end of it all, it's your decision. Again, I look forward to reading the comments. Hopefully you guys went ahead and enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry that it took so long. It's just that I like to make sure that I give the devs enough time to go ahead and make any silent nerfs or anything like that before I sort of push out a video super fast. And then you guys are watching this a couple days later and you're not getting the results. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.